Lord, let the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable to you always. Amen. Please be comfortable. And if we have kids in the crowd, you are fine. Make yourselves home and comfortable. Feel free to wriggle and move. We love having you here. Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. This is the moment. Resurrection is a particularly Jewish understanding of what happens after death, very particular to this community. Philosophy and the other religions of that time understood our future after death to be non-existence, or perhaps some sort of spiritual life freed from these clumsy, problematic bodies. But for the Jewish community, the idea of the resurrection in a body was strong, if not uncontested. After a period of time, it was believed, after a period of rest, God would recreate the world after a period of time. But the women approached an empty tomb, and this empty tomb was present. This is in the now. The upending of every expectation began. The cross was not the end that it seemed. It was a beginning that fractured the wall between divine and creation. The divine that entered into creation became one of us, fully human, no separation, no distance, and returned again, one of us, fully human, resurrected. Christ returned to the world that crucified and denied him. Not even death and rejection could keep us from Jesus' love. These words seemed to them an idle tale, and the disciples did not believe them. That's understandable, isn't it? That empty tomb, no one could have predicted, no one could have imagined. This gospel story, now complete, evaporates every expectation. God loved us so much that Jesus entered into the world as a vulnerable child to a woman out of wedlock. He called us back to God, not with impossible standards we have no hope to meet, but with a yoke that is easy and a burden that is light. Love God, he said. Love your neighbour as yourself. They wished to make him king by force, but he simply walked away. He reached those on the margins. He gave them hope. He restored those the world said were unclean. He corrected those the world upheld. He spoke truth to power, breathed healing into sorrow and despair. He fed the hungry, and he revealed the dignity of those who were considered less. He would not join the violence of the world he entered. He met hurt. He met hurt with love. He met violence with grace. This assurance of hope, love, restoration, justice, healing, nurturing, and dignity was a scandal. In Jesus was a promise so powerful that it could upend an empire. And to end an emerging uprising, you publicly kill, discredit, and shame its source. On the cross, it looked then like all hope was lost. But Mary, Joanna, Mary, your friends, the living is not with the dead. It's just as was promised. He is risen. Go and tell the others. This message of hope was taken to those who Jesus had gathered to him in life, his friends and his followers, the people who were on the edges of society, who had seen every work and had heard every word. Christ is not finished. The revolution is just beginning. Go and tell the others. The promise of Christ's life, death, and resurrection is more abundant than any of us could ever imagine. It's generous. The resurrection of Jesus should take our breath away, just as it did the women who were its witnesses. The promises of Jesus' life and ministry burned alive, renewed and untethered, and stretch into our world today. Go and tell the others. The one through whom all things were made. That tomb and wall of stone put into place to end this revolution could not hold the creative power and love it was meant to contain. Love could not be silenced, because if every voice was stilled, the very stones themselves would cry out in praise to their Creator. And love simply rolled that stone away. Go and tell the others. Love is alive. Hope is not dead. Love will roll the stone away. Love came down to earth to face sin and death itself. And love came back to finish what was begun. Not in the distant future, not as a distant promise, but right then, right now, always, until the end of time and the recreation of the world. In the name of Christ. Amen.